Alright, in the last video I said we will be talking about numbers in this video, and that's true, but the more proper term is numeric. So, numeric data types. And I'll be going over these four. There are a couple more, but you can go see my other videos if you really care about them, because I don't. But, basically, there's two words you need to know first, and that is signed and unsigned. I'll just write that out real quick. Right down here. No, over here. Signed. Signed and unsigned. Now what this means is it differentiates between positive and negative numbers. If you have a signed int, which stands for integer, it allows for negative numbers. So like -12, -16, which just means less than 0. So if you have 3 cats and you lose those cats, you have 0 cats. But if you lose 3 more, you have -3 cats. Which makes no sense, but whatever. So unsigned does not allow for negative values, which means you can only have 3 cats, 1 cat, 5 cats, 0 cats. That would be an unsigned integer. Now down to these 3, decimal, float, and double, these are for decimals. And I know this one says decimal, but they all have decimals. And a decimal is just numbers after a decimal point. So like you have 1.5 cats, 1.5 cats, which is also impossible, maybe. I don't know. But then we'll be going over these, and then there's Boolean. Boolean's really simple. It's just 2 options, true and false. So basically 0 is false, 1 is true, and anything else. So 0 is false and everything else is true, which is used to differentiate between true and false. And we'll get into that more. So that's all you need to know about Boolean. Simple as that. So now we'll be going over int. And just like text, there's multiple versions of int, and we'll be going over all of them. Now here are all of the int data types. There are 5 of them. And if you remember when I said signed and unsigned, this will actually affect their values. So if you need to store a number, such as 63, you can store it in a tiny int, which allows from -128 up to 127. But if that's for a signed value, if you want an unsigned value, then it allows up to 255, which is more. So if you needed to store 178, you could either use small int, which is a bigger one. Well, it's bigger than tiny int. Or you can use tiny int unsigned. Here are the unsigned values for these. And these are just estimates, because after 65,000, I just think 16 million, because it's way easy to remember. And you can look up the actual number if you feel like it. Big int, on the other hand, is just like huge. It's like 20 numbers, and it's like 18 something. I don't even know. About that big. But it has other numbers here. So when you need to store a smaller number, you should use one up here. When you need to store a larger number, store one down here. And it just depends. You should always use the one that's smallest that'll store what you need. So as of for unsigned and signed, if you don't need negative numbers, you should always use unsigned. It just makes sense. If I have you sign up for a website and each person gets an ID and it goes up each new member, then let's say we expect 2,000 members, then small int will work because it allows up to 65,535. But when you go past that, you're going to have medium int, which is like 16 million. Now if you think you're going to get more than that, then you should just use int. But don't use one that's too small. If you're thinking you might have 60,000, maybe 70,000, don't go with small int because it only allows for 65. Go for medium int. You always want to be able to store everything you need, but you want the smallest one that'll store it. So you don't need a big int for like a phone number. That doesn't even make sense. Alright, now we're going to be going over float and double. But before I go on, there's one more thing I want to say about int. Int stands for integer, and integers do not allow for decimals. So these are real numbers, which would be, let's just say that's a number, so 1.2. But if you cut that to an integer, it would become 11. well, this one. So the difference between an integer and a real number is the real numbers allow for decimals and integers do not. Alright, so for float, this is a decimal number accurate to about 7 decimal places, which just means we have 6.11111111. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they could probably keep that accurately, but if you put an 8 or a 1 over here, it might misconfigure some of these digits past here. Double, on the other hand, will go up to 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then start messing up about there. So that's all you need. This is a double precision number, if you know what that means, and then a float is a single precision. So float is not as accurate to higher decimal places. And then the last one is decimal. Decimal stores a double as a string. So let's say you have 653.7. Rather than having that, it'll store it as a string, keeping the exact value. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If you need exact precision, use a decimal. Because the other ones will mess up sometimes. This will be exact. So, that's all you need to know. Yeah. So if you need exact, use decimal, and if you need about, use a float or double. Alright, that's all I have to say about numeric data types. In the next video, I'll be talking about dates. You better come back for that. I'm going to go eat some food, and then I'll be right back to finish this. So, see you later, subscribe, and comment, and tell me what you think. Oh, and also like my video. Thanks.